Okay, so today we're going to learn about fractional indice laws. So if you remember, an indice is a power of a number, and most of the time we've been doing ones like 2 squared or 5 cubed, things like that. But today we're going to look at what happens when you have a fraction as the power. So for example, 4 to the power of 3 over 2. Now the two numbers of the fraction tell you to do different things. So the denominator tells you what root to take of the number, so it could be a square root, cube root, fourth root, etc. And then the top number tells you what power to do of the number, so how many times to then times it by itself, so that's the power. So for this one, because the bottom number, the denominator, is 2, we're going to take the second root of 4, which is the same as the square root. We don't normally write the 2, but I've just written it here so you can see the link. And then after that, we would then cube all of it because the power here on the numerator is 3. So the square root of 4 is 2. So we end up with 2 to the power of 3, which would be 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. Okay, so let's try another one. Let's try 10,000 to the power of 1/4. So again, remember the denominator is the root, so this will be the fourth root of 10,000, and then all to the power of 1. So 10,000, the fourth root, we want to think what number times itself 4 times would equal 10,000. Well, if you did 10 times 10 times 10 times 10, it would go 10, then 100, then 1,000, then 10,000. So the fourth root of 10,000 is 10, and then we do 10 to the power of 1, which means to just times 10, well, not by anything really, just 1 power of 10, which is then 10. So in general, the rule, if we wanted to write it algebraically, if you have a number to the power of a fraction, so if my number was x and the fraction was a over b, we always do the root, so I've got the b root here of number, and then we do the answer to the power of the numerator. So that is what you want to make sure you've got written down there. Okay, so just have a go at a few of these for me now. So 64 to the power of a half. You can also try 27 to the power of 2/3. And let's also try 64. Actually, we'll do 32 to the power of 4 over 5. Okay, so you can just pause the video there and have a go at those questions. Okay, I'm going to go through the answers to those and so you can check how you got on. So for this one, it would be the second root of 64, also known as the square root, all to the power of 1. So that would be the square root of 64 is 8 to the power of 1. 8 to the power of 1 is 8. So that would be your final answer for that one. Okay, and then for this one, we've got to do the cube root of 27, all to the power of 2. So that means we have to think about what number times itself 3 times would equal 27. And 3 times 3 times 3 is 27, so it would be 3 then to the power of 2. 3 squared is 3 times 3, and that is 9. So the final answer for that one is 9. And then number 3, first of all we need to write down that it's the 5th root of 32, all to the power of 4. Then the 5th root of 32, well, 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 equals 32. So it'll be 2 to the power of 4. And then we'd have to do 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which would be 16. Okay. And if you found some of these ones hard, it might be useful before you go on to our next task for you to just write down the powers of some of the key numbers. So for example, thinking about the powers of 2, so 2 to the 1 is 2, 2 squared is 4, 2 cubed is 8, 2 to the power of 4 is 16. It might help you just to write these down. We don't normally go higher than powers of maybe 6, but that would only be with small numbers like 2. You could do the same for 3s. I won't fill those in, but you could add those to your notes. Maybe do the same for the powers of 4, but I wouldn't go too high with those. Same with powers of 5. Maybe they're probably the most useful ones that we'll use. So you could write those down, but you could do them for all the numbers up to 10 if you wanted, just that you've got them there to help you with the next exercise. Okay, so the first task I want you to do is complete the dominoes sheet. So I put cut into 15 domino pieces. Now if you can't print this out, what you can do, if I just put it this way, is again you could pause the screen and then you could just copy these out. What you want to do is you want to have them put into dominoes pieces. So it's each block like this is a dominoes piece. Okay, so you want to have each piece like this. Make sure you don't cut down there. And the plan is to get from the start one, which is this one, all the way to the finish one by matching up questions and answers. Okay, so I'm just going to pause the video and cut mine out, and you can do the same. Okay, so once you have cut them out, you should have all the pieces like this, and the aim is, like I said, to start from this one, the one that says start, and to get a loop all the way to the finish one, which is this one. So for example, with this one, 27 to the power of a third, remember that would be the cube root of 27 to the power of 1. So if I just use this piece of paper here, so it would be cube root of 27 to the power of 1, and you could look at your list of numbers if you wrote them down. So here, can have a look. I didn't quite fill all these in, but if you carried this on, 3 squared would be 9, 3 cubed would be 27. So if you want the cube root of 27, it would be 3, because 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. So this would be 3 to the power of 1, and 3 to the power of 1 is just 3. So we need to try and find one, there it is, with the answer 3 on it. So now I put that one next to here, and then I try the next question there. Okay, so pause the video again, because in a minute I'm going to then show you the answers so you can check yours. So make sure you pause the video so that you don't see the answers. Okay, so here are the answers to that, so you can check it and see how you got on. I hope you found that okay. I think one of the tricky ones was around here maybe, because when you did this one, the square root of 4, which is 2 to the power of 3, which is 8, there wasn't a card with an 8. You had to then find 2 cubed, which is also the value of 8. So I think that's one of the tricky parts there. Again, you could pause the screen now so that you could check your answers and reshuffle them if you didn't quite get all of them. You can always try this again. So if you didn't manage to do that first time round, have a little look at the answers and do some working out. Then mix them all up again and have another go and come back and see. Okay, then the next task to practice this is another kind of matching one. You need to find 3 cards that all have the same value. Okay, so for example, I'll start off by doing one with you. So let's take this first card here, 64 to the power of a half. Using our rule, that means that this would be 64, the second root, which is the square root, all to the power of 1. Square root of 64 is 8, and 8 to the power of 1 is 8. So what I could do here is I could put 64 to the power of a half, and I could put 8 in there, and now I could just cross that one off and an 8 down there. So I've matched up 2, and now I need to try and find another one that would also have the value 8. Okay, so what you could do though is you could just start working your way through the questions, trying to find matches, and eventually you should find 3 of each kind that all have a value. So when you do another one of these ones with powers, one of them should equal 8, and then you'll have the third one there. Okay, so again, pause the video so you can have a go at that, and again you can copy this out if you can't print out the worksheet, and then I will now show you the answers in a moment. Okay, so here are the answers for that one. So you probably want to pause it and check. I put some of my workings on there. I think the hardest one was probably this one here, the 5 to the power of 4 over 2. Because if you use the usual rule on this, you'd get the square root of 5 to the power of 4. But what I would actually do on this one would I simplify this fraction. So 4 over 2 is the same as 2 over 1, which is just the same as 2. So it's actually the same as 5 squared, which is 25. The other one should have followed the rules okay. Okay, and that's the end of the lesson.